was drawn by your grace into chapters of oblivion, into the lover's place. I was stuck in a puddle full of tears and unwise, stuck doing snow, know that we've paid unlike, and you know, hey, when we walk down alone, I feel like we can throw away the forces of a past, and I know too, it's been the hardest days for you. Let's throw them out the window, that's what those lovers do. I was drawn by your grace into chapters of oblivion, into the lover's place. I was stuck in a puddle full of tears and unwise, stuck doing snow, know that we've paid unlike, and you know, hey, when we walk down alone, I feel like we can throw away the forces of a past, and I know too, it's been the hardest days for you. Let's throw them out the window, that's what those lovers do.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you know who it is. It's the big guy with the little show. Yes, indeed. It is Lord Nelson from Live and Loud with the Lord on the CMS Network. Here's my little podcast, and I do what I do. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special young lady on this episode. I wanted her on this show. Her brother has been on this show, Mr. John Winters from I Declare War and Vengeance fame, and hate, all kinds of things. We're not talking about him, though. We're talking about his sister, and she's amazing. She's a yoga instructor. She's a backpacking guide. She's an adventurist. She's a lover of nature. She's a school teacher, an animal lover. She's just all world cover girl, and we're just going to handle some business and do what we do and have a good conversation. I'm going to shut my mouth and let her talk more than I'm going to talk, but it's all beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to my show Miss Jessica Winters. Yeah, let me clap her up. Thank you, young lady, for being here. Thank you. So, first question I like to ask two questions. The first one is, where are you from?
I'm from the greater Seattle area. I live in Renton, Washington right now.
So Renton?
Renton, Washington. Yeah, just south of the Seattle area.
Okay, Renton, Washington. So what's great about being where you're from?
The Pacific Northwest is just full of fun things to do and go outside and spend time outside playing. And I'm born and raised here, so I just love that. I know the area inside and out, and mostly you can spend amazing quality time outside, from the ocean to the mountains to the desert. It's all here.
So being outside is a good thing for you. So your brother and sister, John and Holly, are into music. So are you just as talented or maybe more, or you decide to do other things? She said,
I played the clarinet through about freshman year in high school.
Okay.
Played the piano and when I was young, but I love to listen to music. I don't make a lot of music.
You like to listen. I got you. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a lover of music. I love to listen also. Yeah. So I really understand it. So I wanted you on my show because you're a true adventurist and lover of nature. And so how long have you been drawn to the outdoors?
My whole life, really. Just love going camping with the family and spending time outside like that. But I really started venturing when I picked up a hitchhiker and he told me that he was hiking the. I was camping with my family and I picked up a hitchhiker and I was like, I just got to pick this guy up and I want to know what he was doing, and told me he was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. And I was like, what's the Pacific Crest Trail? And I learned that it is this trail that goes from Mexico to Canada. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I have to do that. So that was kind of my first, like, I really want to go spend time outside and go hiking and like figure this out. So,
okay. So now, if I remember correctly, John said you went out there and did this on your own. You just by yourself. That's amazing to me. As a young lady, you just went from, so where did you start and where did you end up?
Yeah, I started on the Mexico border. Mm-hmm. And it's just in a small little town called Campo, California, just south of that. And walked through California, Oregon, and Washington, through the mountains, through the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascade Range. Now, to be fair, I didn't start alone. I started with a friend, and she went home after a few weeks, and then I was off on the journey the rest of the way on my own.
So okay, I'm very visual. So you're walking through mountains and trails, and just what were you seeing? I mean, what was going on? I mean, where was your mind?
Yeah, it was really hard. Like I had never hiked before, really. I never backpacked before. I did a practice hike before I went out to just try out equipment and gear, and started like training, like doing doing weekly hikes, and mm-hmm. just trying to learn how to walk in the mountains and walk on trails. And so when you get out there, you're like, yeah, this is great. But you start in the desert and it's really hot, and your feet start getting blistered, and your backpack is heavy, and you're carrying all your food and water, and trying to just figure out how to just put one foot in front of the other. And it was really hard, and especially after, a few weeks go by and the novelty of it is worn off, and your body starts to hurt, and your mind is being like pulled in all these different directions. And a lot of it is like, this is really hard. Like, it's super hard, and not physically. Well, yes, physically, but also mentally. Like I was saying, like you get it from all directions. But I would meet people that would help me and inspire me to keep trying or go a little bit further. My mom was a big advocate in me continuing, helping me, and just try a little bit further. I'm sure she was like, get your butt home right now. But she was super supportive, and she helped me, mentally along the way. But physically, you just get stronger and stronger as the blisters heal and the shoulders get stronger. And, you do get physically and mentally stronger out there until it all kind of just fades away. And you're like, wow, I'm actually doing it. And I'm doing it well now, and I'm thriving out here. I'm living out here, and I'm feeling good about what I'm doing, and seeing the mountains and the desert and the wildlife, and just kind of instead of like looking at it separately from what I was doing, it was like, it was my life. It was who I was becoming, and like having those experiences in me rather than like going to do something, not just doing it anymore.
That is just like one of the most amazing things to me. I'm being really honest with you. You're like on some superwoman level right now. That's amazing. So how long was the journey? How long was the trek?
This trip it took me almost 6 months to do this, to hike from the Mexico border to the Canadian border. And it's just over 2,600 miles to do this hike.
Wow. Your mindset, and you answered a lot of the things. Maybe I'll ask the questions again though. But you answered a lot of things. It's just like, what did you find out about yourself? Doing that. Because a lot of the times it was just you and just you. You say you met people along the way, but there's times where it's just you.
It's
just
true.
You and, you know, so what did you learn about Jessica?
Well, I learned, so the mind, like, it's like when you're doing something like that, especially in the beginning, at least my experience was that the thoughts that you come up with in your mind are really scary and they're hard to manage. And I also would have I would have memories that would come up from things that I had forgotten. So it was like dealing with, oh, I was a bad person, or I didn't treat my sister and brother very nice, or maybe, or friend, maybe I made a mistake as a friend. And like, you start thinking about all of these things, and you finally just like set all of that aside, and the mind becomes really quiet, and you can see things for what they really are. Like, instead of through this like filter or this lens that was just things that I have done, it like was able to be, it's more clear, like, oh, I'm on this, I'm just here, I'm just living this life and this opportunity to walk this path, literally, and just go through it. So taking things, I guess, to answer your question, taking things for what they are and how to use it when you get home or when you finish something like that. When I finished this thing that I was doing, this very long hike, I was so excited to be done. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so like, I persevered, and I stuck with it, and I got through it, and I was so excited. And I'm like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. But what I found was that it really just was starting. Like, I was learning, like I got kind of like depressed when I got home, and I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know like how to deal with like the rest of the world now that I experienced nature in that way. And it was shocking. In fact, other people who've hiked like this before will tell you that this is not uncommon, like to have these experiences. So as I continued my journey throughout the years afterward, like I did go on to do another big adventure as well. But the goal is different. Like, how do I live my life with, these grand experiences of adventure and nature, but not have this like unfathomable like desire to continue to be away from home and go out and to be in nature, because that's like it's not really sustainable year after year, day after day. Okay. Like, you got to come home and live your life as well. And so the goal for me was to like figure out how I can incorporate my nature, in the natural world, that experience, and also be really content in like my daily life, instead of this like thriving to do more. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that's what I learned. I mean, that's what I learned about myself, was like, there's so much more to the experience than the actual adventure itself.
So was it kind of like a spiritual awakening for you?
Yeah. I mean, maybe so. Yeah. It just more like, yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I don't know how, it's personal, right? So it's like, how do you put these things into words that are almost, it's hard to put words to.
And I understand, because I mean, I'm such a visual person, and it's over here. I'm wanting to feel what you're feeling, and so you're saying that, and I'm asking these questions, but it's like when you're saying what you're saying and how hard it was here, and it's like I'm there with you. So it's really amazing to me. I mean, honestly, I'm being super honest. I think this is unbelievable. It really is. So what has been, so you've done other treks. So what has been your most difficult trek, and what has been your most rewarding?
Yeah, well, I have to say, hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, the first trail that I did, was absolutely the hardest thing I've ever done. Right. Blood, sweat, and tears poured all over that trail. It is, and there's a lot of perseverance that came from hiking that trail, but it is not necessarily like the hardest thing I've ever done. Right. When like physically, like I got into mountain climbing, like climbing mountains, and is much harder and much more challenging, much more physically demanding in a way where you have to give it your all in a totally different way instead of just like living outside and all you have to do is just walk.
Right.
But I just think the reward overall with everything that I've done and combined is how to use those experiences in my daily life. And I've made some choices along the way and how like try to make a living being an adventurist. And, it's not easy, but it's been a fun journey and to inspire people to get outside and go outside and try also. You don't have to go out and hike for 6 months in order to enjoy nature, but I like that I can give people a little kick in the pants to get outside themselves.
Your answer is so. I'm still going to probably ask them, but you answer so much and being so thorough with it. Love, that's love indeed. So, what other mountains, rivers, or seas, for you do you long to visit and conquer?
What's next?
Well, I'm just saying, is there anything else out there that you want to conquer? Mountains or rivers, or you've done a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to. Conquering is a really hard word for me when I think about putting it in the mountains, because ultimately what's going to happen is nature's going to like whip my butt.
Right. Nature always lets us know.
It does. Yeah. But, I'm actually, to be perfectly honest, I'm really trying to grow my outdoor business. So trying to get more people to come out and adventure with me and do fun things. And, I have there's small goals, I guess, where I have a climbing mentor that I work with. And, we've had times where we've been kicked off the mountain and maybe try and go back and climb Bonanza Peak per se. So trying to finish that. I've hiked and climbed a lot of mountains and I actually really just look forward to spending time with my dogs, hiking, just going out and hiking. And I've been so busy lately that those small things they get pushed to the side and I miss that. So just even getting a long weekend to go hiking with my dogs sounds really, really lovely right now.
Indeed. So do you feel a sense of relief after you finish something, or is it more euphoria?
A little bit of both. Definitely a sense of accomplishment, maybe more than relief. I just got back. We just finished a trip, 12 days in Alaska, where we rafted down the Tatshinshini and the Alsek rivers. And Alaska's big adventure. There's a lot going on out there, though. It's very, very wild. And we all got home and the weather was crazy. The weather was amazing. The river was crazy. The river was, there's just so many elements that are always, that you always have to take into consideration. You get home, everybody's home safe and sound, but their eyes are whiter and we all have googly eyes and spirals going on in them because of, the experience. And that can feel a little bit euphoric for sure, but that calms down. And then all that you have left really is just this, not just a memory, but it's like part of us now. Like, and the people that we were with, we're all part of each other now. And the river, the mountains, it's all, not only is it like inside our hearts, but we left ourselves there too. Maybe a little bit of some layers of ourselves got shed and we were able to leave that stuff behind. So that's part of the mountains now, and changing it and reforming it into something else to give to somebody who comes through after us. And it's more just that ability to share time in nature, not just with nature, but also when you can take other people out there. I mean, I do think, as humans, we are part of the natural world as well, as much as we are of the mountains and the glaciers and the wildlife that's out there. And we just have, more shelter to keep ourselves safe in a way. But Yeah, it's this sense of accomplishment and wonder and awe and what's behind what's behind the next tree.
Right.
And one thing I've learned too is that I don't have to go on these huge adventures anymore to like realize this. Like I can go to my local park and go for a walk and take this snapshot of, the plants or the mushroom that's growing under the plant or the fern. And like, there's that same awe and wonder happening on a smaller scale, but you can take that snapshot and just blow it up. And it's as big as the Alaskan wilderness and the glaciers, right? So having that realization I think is really important and powerful. And it's also, it's eye-opening, right? It gives you that, oh, well, if I can do it here, I can do it anywhere.
Right. Young lady, listen, I'm enjoying this so much. It's just like I said, you're so thorough with it. You're answering so many of the questions that I have, but it's love. We're just rolling. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, I am there with you when you're speaking about all these things. So is being a guide as fulfilling as you hiking by yourself, or does helping others enjoy what you enjoy feel just as exciting?
I love it. I love being a guide and sharing my stories and experiences with people. And a lot of the feedback that I get from being a guide is just that, like, wow, like, so cool. I love to live vicariously through you and your stories. So, and to share and to be able to share that and help people plan their own adventure too. The outfitter that I work for, one of them, we really focus on education and teaching people much more than just like guiding them and cooking their food. And we teach them how to thrive outside and plan a route and a path through the wilderness based on the area that they want to go and see after their trip is done, which I think is so cool, really helping people learn, not just guide. So that's one thing I really like about guiding, especially for Andrew, who I work for, Andrew Skirka, and his backpacking programs are really great. And we go to some neat locations.
Well, it's like I don't want to stop talking about this backpacking and the guide and all that, because it's just love. But I do want to venture into your yoga. So you're a yoga teacher also. And so where did you learn where was your first introduction into yoga?
So a friend of mine who had already been taking classes, she invited me to join her for a class. This was about 20 years ago. And so I went, and it's so funny because I went to class and I was like, wow, I fell in love with it. I'd always been curious about what yoga was. And so I was excited to go. I was excited to get this like invitation. And I'd also had just started taking at the university teacher training for school. Like I was a school teacher for many years, but I was like, oh, I might be in the wrong teacher training program. But that's okay. I went on to continue practicing yoga for many years at Renton Hot Yoga, which is where I work, and studied yoga there for a long time, and then went to a teacher training program in 2011. Oh, sorry about that. Went to a teacher training program in 2011, and then just started teaching from there. I worked in the schools for a while after that, for a couple of years, and ultimately I left education behind in that formal sense. I still tutor and do other things and work with kids, and work in schools actually just on a different level as outdoor specialists and things like that. So, but yeah, I've been practicing and studying yoga for nearly 20 years. And I really wanted to combine my passion of adventure and wilderness and nature and yoga. And now I work with different companies. I choose places that I want to go to, and I have them help me build curriculum or programming for the adventure part. And then I lead yoga retreats along the way, and teach yoga outside. That's where we were doing in Alaska most recently.
Right.
And we do yoga every morning, meditate. We read stories and talk about how that impacts our lives, yogically speaking, anyway. And yeah, what's great about it all is like when I tell people I do like these yoga retreats, they think, oh, I have to be like, oh, yoga, I have to do yoga every day. But like, we just sometimes just sit and just be with and process nature. And I like to hold space for people to, sit in quiet spaces and set that time aside. In nature, you think nature is just sitting quietly, but there's so much going on always.
Energy always. There's energy
Always.
just constant. I mean,
Exactly.
No matter what, energy is rolling through us. So now, did I read something about India in yoga? I mean, did you do something in India with yoga?
I have been to India. I traveled to India, and it's really great. I work for a family here in the Pacific Northwest, and they're from East India. And they asked me to travel back home with them one year. And so I did. I was able to go with them. Well, I didn't actually go and study a yoga regimen per se. I definitely was doing some there's a lot of mental yoga that goes on when you travel to a foreign country like that for myself. But the school of yoga that I am rooted in is from Calcutta, India, which is probably what you read on my my social media. We're based out of the Ghosh School of India. I believe it's called the Ghosh College of India, the yoga school there. And I study that particular lineage of practice here in the United States.
It's awesome. She's so well-rounded. And then just the fact that you're putting the yoga within the guiding and the it's a very nice experience. I think, for whoever's going to come there and enjoy it, you're offering much more, within nature and everybody just, on their own little journey, but together with everybody else, but, just sitting there and enjoying and probably finding out who they are and learning more about themselves. I think it's amazing. So with the yoga, is it more physical than mental, or is it just equal?
I didn't hear the last thing that you.
Yes. So yoga, is it more mental than physical, or is it just equal, both the same?
They, for me personally, it's definitely become much more of a mental practice and a study of my own mind and from where I'm at now, but it is still physical. I think having a physical practice for health and physical fitness is good. And that is definitely what the exercises are good for. Right. For people who are just starting, it's very commonly just a physical practice, but you learn along the way that it's so much more than that. And having that physical practice allows you to make connections with your body and also your mind and how they work together. And then it really does become much more than just movement and postures and what we think of when we think of yoga, when we see people doing exercises. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I'll see Russell Simmons and, I like Russell Simmons. I've always followed him. He's just one. He actually wished me a happy birthday. My wife got him to wish me a happy birthday on my 50th birthday, which I've only watched the whole thing one time because I'm an emotional person. I cried so much after I got that. And it's like, anyway, I'll get emotional now. So has yoga, kept you centered? Does it center you? Does it ground you?
Yes, absolutely. And it absolutely keeps me in check. Like when I think that, I think something should be a certain way, I really let's back off on that a little bit. And it allows me to process hard things and hard circumstances in a way that is not so emotionally involved, where you really get attached to what you think the way you think things should be. Like giving you this opportunity to see things without resistance. Like, you you got to be able to go with the flow. And I feel like that does keep me grounded and centered as much as possible. And I always feel like when things are not going my way per se, or they feel like just doesn't feel like I'm on doing the right thing. Well, just this gives me an opportunity to sit back and yeah, it's not always what I think things are. Like,
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, listen, everything you said has made sense. This has been so enlightening to me, and I am sure that the watchers and listeners are going to be enlightened also. I just think that your life is an amazing one, and how you've embraced what you're doing, and just in fact, just nature. I like to go fishing and things like that. I don't do it as much as I used to, but growing up as a military kid, we were always outside. We were always just enjoying life and nature, and it's just something to be said about that. A lot of times we're so busy in our lives, we're not able to get out there and really enjoy, what we have, this world that we have, which is such a beautiful thing. And you've traveled everywhere and done it all. So your life is probably more exciting than you think it is. You're just immersed in it and you're just enjoying it, but other people like myself, we're looking at you like, man, she's awesome, man. This is something. No, I'm not saying that even just, I really mean that. To me, I'm just mentally, I'm just so there. I'm on that trail. And ever since John told me about it the first time, I was just like looking like this. Like she walked, just like she did that. And it's just amazing to me. So anyway.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy to think, like, if you want to go do something, like if you want to go walk for 6 months, we live in this place where we can. And as a woman, a solo female hiker, I felt safe doing it. I felt supported. And to continue to do it. Like, it wasn't a fluke. Like, I could do it again if I wanted to. And just, it's there for us to have and to experience. If that's something that is desirable, you can go and have a piece of it yourself too, which I think is super cool. Long distance hiking is special. There's a huge community of long distance hikers out there now. I hiked a long time ago, but there were hikers doing these things, in the late 70s when it all kind of first started happening, and more people are hiking the trail, and there's more access. We have the internet now that allows us, like, it's free information out there. So yeah. And there's so many places and things that we can go and see here just in the United States.
Yes,
well, and all the international travel and crazy mountains that are out there.
Well, look, I applaud you. I think that I've moved you up to one of those great human beings. I know John likes to say that, but I have taken that. You are one of the great human beings, and you're doing a magnificent thing. And I really appreciate you being on here. So if you don't mind, give the people the information, social wise or whatever. They can get in touch with you if they want to come do some hiking or whatever. Just let it be known. Yeah.
Yeah. So for a wilderness yoga retreat, if you like to go river rafting, my website is wildernessadventureyoga.com. If you want to learn more about backpacking and hiking, I support my the company I work for deeply. His name is andrewskirka.com, or his website might be andrewskirkaadventures.com. You can find all kinds of great information there about hiking and the classroom and the guided trips that go out from there. Yeah, that's what I'm up to. My social media is, did we decide, is it Wildflower Hike? That's a story for later. Jessica Winters, Wildflower Hikes, or Wilderness Adventure Yoga on Facebook. And I think you can find it on Instagram there too.
Well, listen, young lady, this has been a true pleasure. I am truly honored. I don't say that lightly. I've enjoyed every guest that I've had on my show, but this has just been entertaining and, once again, enlightening and educating. Listen, You're an amazing young lady. Believe me when I say it.
Oh,
Thank
thanks.
you once again for being here. I really appreciate it. So,
You're
ladies and gentlemen, once again, you know who it is. It's the big guy with the little show, the Lord Nelson, that is, with the amazing adventurist. She's just on another level, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Jessica Winters. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Great time. Great time.
The type of people who sign up for a trip like this are always awesome. They've always got that great adventurous spirit, and they just want to come and love the outdoors and want to see a wilderness area like this.
Sexy.
Join us for a journey through one of the most epic wilderness areas on Earth. Done with Momentum's innovative wilderness camping, attention to detail, and handcrafted quality. It is a chance to truly get away and unplug.
The fog. Oh God, this is beautiful.